has been reporting from United States, tracking the Prime Minister's visit and the agenda closely. Senior Executive Editor Madhadas Gopalakrishnan has been speaking to prominent voices on the significance of this visit and the issues that are likely to be discussed. He also spoke to the IMF Executive Director and former CEA V Subramanian on what we can expect on the trade and tariff front. Listen in.
What are you expecting from this visit?
So, as all of us certainly know, I think the personal relationship between President Trump and Honorable Prime Minister Modi is a very good one. And at the highest level, these aspects do matter. Apart from the way in which India was, so well treated when our External Affairs Minister was actually treated so well during the inauguration. So I think there are very high expectations, and rightly so, because in my opinion, actually from the vantage point that I occupy, I can see that India-US is really the partnership, of the next couple of decades, given the economic opportunity that India offers. For instance, American investors, actually, for them to be able to earn more than 10%, returns in a year in dollar terms, not just in rupee, actually something that there are few other large countries that can provide such an opportunity. So from that perspective, I think, and President Trump is clearly, very, very focused on ensuring that, the economy, the American economy does well. So in that perspective, I think there are clearly paths that converge. So I actually think that this visit would be one where there could be some important steps that could be announced.
Right. One of the things and areas of concern has been, the entire talk around tariffs. Now, one thing is about political rhetoric, but he's actually walked the talk when it comes to China, Canada and Mexico. But again, Canada, Mexico is on hold for a month is what we are told. How serious an issue do you think this is that is going to impact upon India?
So I think, from the Indian perspective, and, you would note that the Indian budget, the recent budget that was passed as well, took some important steps in this regard. I think the other aspect that actually, that needs to be focused on, when I think about overall trade between two countries, I don't focus just on one aspect of which is basically goods trade, and within that, tariffs actually. Ideally, the conversation needs to be, and especially from an Indian perspective, needs to be in the form of a 2x2 matrix where you have both goods and services and tariffs and non-tariff barriers as well. And there is some very good research that's been done by the WTO that shows that India, for instance, uses far less non-tariff barriers. And, that research shows as well that non-tariff barriers are more subjective and are oftentimes, far more opaque as well. So this is an aspect that I think India should be highlighting as well. Because, some of these non-tariff barriers also affect the comparative advantage that India has, which is on the service sector side. So in my opinion, I think, this conversation actually would be far more beneficial if it is looked at it in a more holistic perspective, not just focused on goods trade and that too on tariffs, rather than that actually across this 2x2 matrix, all the four, so goods and services and tariff and non-tariffs as well. I think that is where there can be actually a lot of common ground, in my opinion.
Right.